Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and we've got one exciting program for you today, the 100th episode of the Dawg Pound.
That's insane.
And we've got the full Dawg Pound crew here, including April, who's got some technical issues, but April's coming on just a second. And starting out, we don't have a title for you, Jason.
Call me Jay Wizzy.
The Baron of Logic.
Is Jay Breezy. We can't call you that.
That's pretty close.
The Baron of Logic.
There we go for that.
Jason Harris. Hi, Jason. How you doing? Strategy with Jason.
Doing good, Jim. Doing good. Number 100.
Number
awesome.
100.
I feel so
it's like my marriage. They said it would never last.
And look what we proved them wrong. Not long as you and Miss Debbie, but
I don't even pay attention to those people.
I've been with that woman. Best one.
She's a godsend.
Best one so far. She's
a saint, is what she is.
She is a saint.
Oh,
Not just because she's married to you. She just
I'm
really
guilty.
is a saint.
I'm guilty. I love my wife. I'm sorry.
I love your wife too.
That's not fashionable today, but I do love my wife dearly. You know, what the heck? You know,
It's really woke of you.
very woke of me. No.
Here we go. I'll start over.
Very unwoke.
Shenanigans day.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and the Mad Russian, direct from Spain, Max Zanan.
I mean, show number 100. I feel like the original member of the Rolling Stones.
Well, we are.
Oh, yeah. You're Bill Wyman.
Right. That's right. Or Mick Taylor, you know.
Oh, no, Mick Taylor wasn't an original. He was in the 70s.
Right. So
Mick Taylor was Brian Jones' replacement.
yeah, so I feel special.
You know, you got to remember, I'm a DJ now. I know all this stuff. I played that stuff when it was live performing groups. And
basically, Max, if you're going to throw an analogy, at least be correct.
Right.
Way to just kick that right off, April.
Okay. Jennifer, tell them your title.
My title is the Empress of Executive Management. That is my title.
Empress of Executive Management, Miss Jennifer Briggs herself. How you doing, kid?
I am doing fantastic. Finally getting this wonderful new office unpacked and settled in, and excited to get into the swing of things up here in Michigan. I was at Bobbie's house earlier today. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, you could go visit with Bobbie anytime. I mean,
it's amazing.
And Bobbie having a hair day.
I am having a hair day. I just chopped my hair off and I straightened it for the first time today. Never do that right before a show. But I did wear sparklers in honor of the show, even though I didn't bring any. Jennifer said no fire in the house, and that seemed like a legitimate rule to follow.
You look like a disco ball.
I love it. You know, I love any reason to glitter. Are you kidding me? I will never stop loving to dress up.
Okay. Oh, one of the original Dawg Pounders. Matter of fact, of the 6 people on the broadcast today, 3 are the original Dawg Pounders. Mm-hmm. You know, going back to Dawg Pound episode number 1.
I remember when you called me and said, "Hey, kid, I got this idea," and I was like, "And look at us now! I can't believe it's been 100 episodes."
I wanted to do an executive show. I wanted to do a show that was aimed at management and dealer principals, general managers, sales managers. I wanted to do it because all the shows I was seeing on social media were aimed at salespersons.
Yeah.
A great audience. Nothing, but a pretty crowd. Know that if I rounded up some executives like you guys, and we could talk with. Have subjects on the executive level, we would get an audience, and we got a huge audience. So
we do,
and the Duchess of Productivity. Oh, and by the way, Bobbie Herron is the queen of BDC. Just to get.
You didn't know, now you know.
Now you know. And the Duchess of Productivity, April Simmons, Horn Automotive Group. Hi, kid.
Hey, I'm with Bobbie on sparkles. Like all things sparkle are important things. I always have to have my, as much sparkle as I can actually have. I love sparkles, so I'm in on that.
I support you.
Episode, that is something to be celebrated. I think, we talk a lot in automotive about, how hard it is to be consistent at anything. And so to hit 100 episodes, I think should be celebrated. So good job, Jim and original Posse, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, it's kind of funny because we had a different format. One of the things that I'm big on is no foul language.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a little trash mouth when I'm off the air, but on the air, we no foul language, no politics. We definitely pineapple on politics.
Yeah.
We got some pretty conservative in the panel, and we got some flaming liberals on the panel. So we have to balance this thing. We're all friends, but what the heck? I want to take us down memory lane for a second, if you don't mind.
Oh, I love that.
I'm just keeping busy, hanging out here in the Midwest in Indianapolis. So
you're consulting with a lot of groups right now.
Yeah. We primarily focus on operations. So I work with GMs, dealer principals, directors of operations, looking at from a top-down perspective. I know that a lot of folks focus on training with the actual sales teams or BDC teams.
Episode number 1, May 4th, 2021.
I was having a good hair day that day.
You really were.
It looks great.
So was I.
Me
Now,
too.
the original Dawg Pound was Max Zanan, Bobbie Herron, Dave O'Brien from Quantum 5 was in the original Dawg Pound. He stayed with us for about 6 months, and then his business was just overwhelming. He moved on. Elise Kephart was one of the original Dawg Pounders, and Patrick O'Brien couldn't get his technology to work that day.
Shocker.
Yeah, but Patrick O'Brien couldn't get technology to work, but it was kind of interesting watching the crew here.
And follow these steps and do this. And we've got BDC salespeople and service advisors standing at the dealership going, yeah, that all sounds really cool, but how in the heck do you want me to build trust and credibility via an email, via a phone call? How?
Let's see what this does. Oh, we got a little lag there. Hang on a second.
Oh, it's catching up. That means it was a hot tidbit that he was sharing.
Was. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to stay on this one very much longer because we've got another one. Then we go all the way to episode number 50. And episode number 50, kind of interesting. Halfway through.
There she is. Yay.
Hang on. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and this is the Dawg Pound. We've got a great panel of our mischief makers today. One of the chief new instigators in the dog pack is my friend April Simmons. Hello, April.
Hello, Dawg Pound. How are we doing today?
You are the Dawg Pound.
I'm going to get feisty. I feel feisty today.
We tend to bring that out in people.
I have a tendency to draw that out, And direct from New York City, who says it ain't what it used to be, my friend Max Zanan. Hey, Max.
Hey, Jim. Thank you for having me. And I finally have a buddy on the show who shares my views. That's right. Welcome, April.
What?
No, April shares my
Fast
views.
forward.
We can't have two curmudgeons on the same show. One of the most brilliant women in the automotive universe, my friend April Briggs.
Oh, April. We know I don't share like that, okay?
Brilliant
I
woman.
can handle
She
April
has
Briggs.
been a general manager. She has been a clerk. She has been a get-ready technician. She's done every job in a dealership. And one of the premier general managers in the country, Berkshire Hathaway, Texas. Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. But just to show you what we've done. One more. We arrived at such a status in the industry, and I was saying we wanted to reach executive managers. We wanted to move up. We wanted to have an image for the show that other shows did not have. And one thing we did that I thought was kind of cool. Here it comes. We had Mike Stanton, the president of the NADA.
They're on the path because that is right around the corner. There are a lot of great vendors out there that will help dealerships do exactly what they need to do.
What is the safeguard rule?
Yeah, so Safeguards has been around for a long time, but the dealers have got kind of tripped up, and I've heard
Of course, we brought Mike Stanton on, and of course, Bobbie immediately attacked him.
That's a stretch. Instead, I like to say I have a good question.
We had the Florida Dealers Association on last week, and Max attacked him. So
you know what I'm saying? If you can't handle me, you can't handle Congress. So
I was going to say, I really don't think anyone expects us to be a non-controversial group.
That's a fact.
No,
they still keep coming on. They still keep coming on and coming in.
It sounds like some people will never be back.
Jason Harris.
Yes, sir.
Now that you're a member of the Dawg Pound, you're officially on board. What is the most memorable thing that goes back to that struck you about the Dawg Pound?
Most
What
memorable
was
thing.
your
I just
first
like
impression?
I like the diversity of the group. You know, we go into this all as friends, knowing that we're not necessarily going to agree on everything, but we're able to kind of maintain a level of professional disagreement. But still, you know, to April's word, get feisty. When it comes to topics that we're passionate about, it's rare to be in a place where everyone's passion is 100% acceptable. So it's definitely been very, very cool, and excited to be on this. 100's amazing. Jim, I've done a little over 700 podcasts, and this is the one that I look forward to every week. You know, I was just getting into this. People are like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to go do my favorite thing. It's Tuesday. It's 2 p.m. I got to go do my favorite thing. I got to go do the Dawg Pound.
Fun.
Yeah, we are absolutely. We've been through some panelists. Like I said, Elise Kephart was with us for a while. Dave O'Brien was with us for a while, and Patrick O'Brien. I don't think the father and son they knew it. Who else was a regular Dawg Pounder? Was there anybody else?
I don't think so. I know. And Patrick wasn't on very often because he, like you said, he had those technology difficulties. But other than April and Jason being fantastic additions, maybe I don't recall.
I don't.
It's funny because it just feels like it's right. So it just feels like it's what it always was. That sounds crazy, but it's just true. You just, not to use object placement permanence on people, but it happened.
Max Zanan, what is your most memorable experience as a member of the Dawg Pound?
I don't know. The amount of time I was able to administer abuse on innocent people is absolutely incredible. And the fact that the majority of them cannot come back from it.
Wait, are we watching the same show, Matt?
He's not at all a sadist, folks. Not at all. Our inside jokes are the best. The things that people don't even pick up on because they're just funny that we talk about. Lots of people don't know that we stay on after the show and have fun conversations afterwards and in between weeks. And we have some really great inside jokes. I mean, the secret's out with pineapple, but it didn't used to be. So.
No. We've had, this show has leaked some controversy up. We've had some people very angry with us.
They're welcome to come on.
Yeah.
April,
we fired up. Let's get them an invite.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I tell every management team that I train. You can challenge anything that we say at any time, at any given time, because either you're going to change my mind or I'm going to change yours. So if you don't like what we say, come on the show and let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's an open forum. That's for darn sure.
Mm-hmm.
Stan Share in the sidebar. Happy 100. Yeah. Stan the man. Okay. Oh, look at that. Okay. April Simmons, you came in on the 50th show. That's amazing that you came in right about, right in the middle of our tenure here. What attracted you to the Dawg Pound? What is your fondest memory? What episode struck you?
I mean, there's multiple episodes because like Jason said, it is like one of the parts of the week that I really look forward to. And what drew me in is it was one of the ones for the first 50 episodes. I would go home at night on Tuesday night and watch the replay. I very rarely did catch it live because, you're busy at work and you're running gunning. But it was one I would always go home and comment on and watch because so many things would resonate with me. Because there wasn't anything out there at the executive level. There was always things where people have their shows and they talk very specifically in a lane. I liked that we covered what was happening now, what was going on, what are really on people's brains at a higher level of management. And as crazy as this is, my favorite part of the show is getting to vent every week because I don't have people to vent to. I don't have people I can't go.
We can definitely
vent up. So I'm like, let's just vent on an open forum to the world, and it's fabulous.
When I started writing for Dealer Magazine, I had been previously a writer for Auto Age Magazine and Ward's Dealer Business, and I wrote for a couple of the publications. As I started writing in 1986. So then I went to Mike Roscoe had formed Dealer Magazine, and I was a columnist in the second issue.
Oh man, Roscoe!
I was the keynote speaker at the second digital dealer in Nashville. So and I spoke at several digital dealers, but one thing that I've trademarked was being able to say things that dealers are not able to say themselves. That became what made Jim Ziegler famous in the industry, is that I am totally unfiltered. So the Dawg Pound is pretty unfiltered, I think.
I'd say so.
Yeah, I think you did a great job of selecting that because even during my time as an executive in the dealerships, not being the one who was directly tied to the franchise agreement, I always said exactly what needed to be said, even if my dealer principal couldn't say those things. And I, one thing that is not lacking, like everyone else has already mentioned too, is the passion of everybody on here. And it is amazing. And I love that you said that, April, because I think that's huge. And I think back to, like, this is going to make me feel like super duper old, but like when Bobbie and I first became friends, because those of you who know, for the first parts of our careers, we were competitors. We were not friends. Not friends at all.
She had to be relocated. Facts.
I do what I do. So, but it was amazing that I could pick up the phone and I could call her. And I remember that level coming back from a conference because broadcasts like this were not as prevalent back then. I mean, you had you had your magazines that you would get, whether it was Automotive News or Dealer Refresh or Dealer Success or Dealer
Automotive Snooze. Automotive Snooze is they are never going to go to the depths attacking that we
if I see one more article talking about how good the agency model is, I might cancel my subscription. But what April's point is that you don't have anybody when you're in that management level and executive level in the dealerships. You don't have sounding boards. Bobbie and I were so lucky that I was relocated out of her market, so we could have that. And I remember coming back from a digital dealer, which I know a lot of people are getting ready to go right now. I can remember being so frustrated after being back in the store that first week. And the reason was, and I remember calling her and she was like, Jennifer, you've just spent 5 days with some of the smartest people in the industry, brainstorming and trading ideas. Of course, you're going to feel like you want to bang your head against the wall when you get back into the store. And I love that we give somebody a little taste of that every single week. Thank you for
100%,
Jim.
One thing I found out was the power of social media. When I felt, and this was my opinion, my opinion, that's some legal shit. Okay. My opinion was that TrueCar was abusing the dealers. My opinion was that TrueCar was definitely overreaching. So I went to social media and I put up a blog. I was also writing for the magazine. And I put up a blog that had 178,000 replies. And the president of TrueCar flew to Atlanta and begged me to back off. I mean, and I started to realize, hey,
I remember that.
Social media can definitely change the course of any part of the industry. We make a difference. And I'll tell you what, we have made difference on the Dawg Pound with major manufacturer decisions. I know that for a fact.
Maybe they should watch a little closer. We can make a few more.
Well, believe me,
it's a good thing none of us are trying to own a franchise, people.
Believe me, right now, Jim Farley is
not that one.
a box of popcorn watching this show.
You know what? I love that.
We're not going to talk about you this episode, Jim.
I love that, though. I hope that he is. And I know that we know from viewership that he is. And I hope that they all are, because I like to believe that we all have such a varying opinion on different things. But we actually talk about what we hear from other people, what we see in the industry, our opinions versus what we read from all these different sources and what we're made aware of. And what a good way to kind of get an inside scoop, right? Like Jennifer said, I mean, I met Max through the show. I met April through the show. We all went to NADA, Max, who does not go to conferences. And we all met up for like a half an hour in the craziness, busyness of it, so we could take some selfies together and hang out. But we have real friendships. We have real friendships.
Do you remember how we met, Bobbie?
Well, we officially met at Battle Plan, I think, but we met at NADA. Was it NADA or Digital Dealer? Well, it was a couple years before. But we officially met then.
I met you at actually the NADA convention when I was speaking.
Yes.
You walked up after my speech, and I was doing a seminar on legal compliance that year. You know, from a layman's point of view, I did a seminar on legal compliance. That was in New Orleans.
Oh, the year we got frozen.
And then I saw you and Jennifer together at Internet Battle Plan Detroit at the MGM.
Yes.
At the MGM Grand.
Yep.
And I want to.
That was our debut together. Also, by the way, was that Internet Battle Plan?
Was that when you actually met each other?
No.
Well, no, that was our debut as the dynamic duo. Is what I was saying. We both had our teams at the conference. I had my whole team, almost my whole internet sales management team, because we had about 30 on our team at Feldman, and then Bobbie had a bunch of her folks from Garber there too.
Yeah,
so.
I had my GMs. I was operations at the time.
When I first met Max Zanan, I didn't like him.
That surprises me, because he's a really likable fellow. You know, he just radiates charisma. You just want to hug him right in the beginning.
Hug him.
Matter of fact, my good friend Ken Rosenfield, who's been on the show, he said, "Why don't you get Max Zanan on?" I said, "I don't like him."
That is shocking because the first time you told me about Max, you had wonderful things
Yeah.
to say about him.
Same.
Well, I come to find out he's not as bad as he looks.
But let's be honest.
Well,
Dan
we
is a
also
good
had to
judge
sell
of
him because we used to vote people off the island and on the island before anybody could get on. There were several contestants to join the show that got knocked out. Round
I
one,
have kicked
round
people
two.
off the show. I mean, I have canceled them. I got the control switch. People say, Ziegler, why do you always lean to this direction? Because I'm controlling the mouse.
It's like the drop door that opens.
I'm controlling the mouse. I got control of the show. I mean, I can turn people's microphones off and things. But I've turned Bobbie's microphone off and she had to hold up signs.
Yeah, I'm not messing around. I will hold up a sign. I am not scared. But you know, it's funny because we are all wildly different, and even in the things that we do. I mean, we have some similar consistencies for sure, especially in our careers. But one thing that I love about the show is, you know, this is gonna sound narcissistic, and I don't mean for it to, because it's not me saying it. But so many times when I would go speak places and I would come off stage, people wouldn't say anything to me, and I would have men and women come up to me later or in a group and go, I wasn't really ready to talk to you. And I'm like, I promise I'm not scary. I'm all about friends. I'm a hugger. I was hugged too much as a child. I love to collaborate and network and share. I don't see the people that I work with as competition across this country. Like, it's cool. One of the things that the show consistently gave was the freedom for people to not feel that way. I get tons of calls, tons of conversations that are like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, can you collaborate with me on this? And I'm not always right by any means. I learned as much from our audience as they learned from us, but I love that it did that. I never thought that should be a thing in the first place where it was a problem, but it was, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've always respected your right to be wrong.
I know you do, and I appreciate that about you, you see? And I respect my right to be charming and talk people into things all the time.
Now, when I first met Jason Harris, he had this, I've talked to him online, but I went to Digital Dealer where I was one of the keynote speakers. I was on the big stage this last year, and this guy's got a big-ass boat.
Yes, there was a big.
I mean, a big boat. And I mean, he told me he was going to be broadcasting from a boat. I'm picturing, you know, a stingray boat, you know, just regular, you know.
Well, that was the original idea. We were going to do a dinghy because I thought that'd be really funny to see people try to sit down in a little dinghy and like have a conversation.
You do not lack creativity, my friend.
Heck of a boat. I was absolutely astounded, Jason. How many people interviewed you on that boat? That was a podcast.
I think I did about 42 podcasts that weekend, one after another, and it was hot. It was hot. We were on the fly deck, so we're on the top deck. It's hot, and like an idiot, I'm wearing like a wool vest and a tie like I normally do when I go to events. So like in between takes, there was like this refrigerator next to me, and I kept this like towel in there in the freezer. I just slapped this frozen towel on the top of my head in between takes so I could just stay cool through the whole time.
Did you say a wool vest in Tampa in the spring?
I
would die.
Bring it next weekend as well. So.
We need to get to a different blend, maybe a linen blend that's a lot lighter.
I'll tell you this.
I've been meaning to ask you, Jason, what size shirt do you wear?
Extra large.
Extra large. Okay. Fantastic. April, how did you and I meet?
You know, we met the very first time, which is eons ago in like 2001 when I was in finance and you actually came and did a finance class. So obviously brief meeting. But at some point I had commented on the Dawg Pound and you had mentioned something to somebody, and I think it was Barry Brodsky, I'm pretty sure, who said, you need to talk, you guys need to talk. And we chatted on the phone. You invited me to my first show. And then we did I think 2 other shows. And then finally you were like, here's an open link. Just come join us every week. And so, you know, the rest has been history. I would happily be April Briggs as a backup plan. I love my husband. She would always be, I know you guys have your side chick already, but I don't mind being a third. and I don't know what's wrong with you, Jim, but I loved Max day one. I think Max is almost always right. So once in a while, we have disagreed on a few things, but for the most part, actually agree with Max a lot.
You know, he got wiser as the show came on.
He sent her a present. I feel like a present is involved here.
No,
What gave me a negative impression of Max?
maybe that's what it is.
I love Max too, so I get
The
it.
first time I met Max, he was with Damian Bullard
It was a long time ago.
a long time ago. And Damian said to me about Max, said, wouldn't he look good in a ball gag?
I got a feeling he owns a couple. You know, he likes to beat people up when they
Pineapple.
Jim started it that time. Oh, Jim usually starts it. That's why we came up with pineapple in the first place.
Listen,
You're right.
Even
You
though
guys are a bad influence.
I think that probably of all of our Dawg Pound panelists, Max and I probably go back and forth the most. Although for like the last couple of months, it's been a little strange.
Yeah, because Jennifer came around finally. You know?
No. Actually, you've come over to
She
my
got-
way.
she got
So let's
unwoke.
just establish that. We're still fighting over the boy crush versus the woke thing with Farley.
Right.
We'll
Oh, yeah.
figure it out. Flip a coin.
But I gotta tell you guys, listen. I just read, right, unrelated to what we're talking about. General Motors plans to end production of its electric Chevy Bolt models by the end of this year.
Small
it's a-
victories, right, Max?
It's a mega failure, and nothing makes me happier than reading this type of news.
Well,
I
the
can't believe we
Bolt
didn't make it
or
through
the
one show
Bolt?
without talking about EVs. I can't believe I'm not shocked at all. Not even like a little bit, kind of. You know what I will tell you?
Did you see where China has produced, and they're going to try to introduce it into the States, a $14,000 EV with 252-mile range?
I mean, it must be
14
heavily subsidized by the government.
It's like
Yeah,
everything
well,
else.
we already have $14,000 EVs in this country. We call them golf carts.
I was gonna say, did I miss something, Jim? Where did that stick?
I need a golf cart. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Oh,
I
my God.
will tell everybody though, if anybody's going to, and if anybody has an opportunity to attend a party thrown by Jason Harris, I don't care where you're at or what you're doing, skip it. We have had such great times at Jason's parties at different events, specifically the last one, that we rolled up to a concert that was the only event I wanted to go to for the entire thing, outside obviously of daily education and whatnot. But at night, it was like my go-to one. I was having such a good time that we rolled up to the concert and I didn't get off the bus. Like it was like 2 hours into the concert before I rolled off that bus, having the best time ever.
Was
And
there,
now
was
I'm
there
at a girl party.
alcohol involved?
Of
It
course
was-
there was.
It
But
was-
I'll tell you this, it was
liquor
beer
bar.
that I didn't like, and I still stayed. So it was on point.
We know how to do
Fantastic.
stuff. Me and Bobbie actually met in Detroit.
hmm We
Yes.
did. I think we did a podcast the first day we met, didn't we?
We did. We did a podcast. I had a van back then, and we did podcasts out of the van.
Yep.
I've done podcasts in a lot of weird places.
Where were we? We were either. Oh, I remember where we were. Yeah, we were at a conference.
We were at a
A
Rockstar.
daily
I
conference.
think it was
Yep, we were
Rockstar.
at Rockstar.
What do you
Yeah.
think was the number one broadcast we did as far as viewership, Bobbie? You got the stats.
That's an unfair guess. I mean, that's definitely an unfair guess. I shouldn't guess that one since I have access to all the stats.
Well,
So
anyway,
somebody else guess.
We've had as many as 20,000 with the replays, and that's when we broadcast this show. This show is on 8 social channels,
Yep.
and you know we're on Restream, which I didn't realize Restream originally was Periscope.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Periscope transitioned into Restream.
Yeah. King of reinvention up here. You guys might not know this, but like for the listeners, but Jim's like a ninja at technology. He calls me up like, we're going to use Restream. This is awesome. Look what I've learned. I'm like, I haven't even heard of this yet.
Yeah.
All the time. All the time.
No, I don't know.
Reinventing
Nobody
things.
doesn't know technology. I'm bad at
Yeah, that's what he wants everyone to think.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's secret. Notice he never has any issues with his video, his mic, his Wi-Fi, except for that one time he got struck by lightning during
Yeah,
the show.
that's an act of God.
That
That's
was
not funny.
that was crazy. That was crazy.
I'm just an old guy that
I'd love to know what some of the viewers' favorite episodes have been or topics have been so that we can focus on them in the future, or even how did we meet?
anytime we talk about the manufacturers, anytime we talk about a manufacturer overreach or abuse of the dealers,
Hashtag side chick right there.
I'm a champion of the dealers, and I have been for many years. That, like I say, I'd be much richer if I was a criminal, and there's some criminal trainers training in the business right now. I mean, you know,
that's why we all get along. That's our common core for every single one of us. Every single one of us defends a dealer, has been on the dealer side and defended.
Yes.
Has awards for it. Yeah.
You know, if I can, I've defended the dealers when it was much to my professional detriment. You know, when it hurt me, like the True Car thing. I mean, the Federal Trade Commission came after me wholeheartedly about the True Car. They say I organized a national boycott.
Wow.
You shared truth.
Some people might think I did, but
you shared truth.
You know what though? But that wasn't the first time they screwed themselves over and lost 2/3 of their dealer base. So, you know, I mean,
exactly.
But you are the same man who welcomed Carrie Wise onto the stage when she joined True Car. You are the same man that did that. You have always been upfront and honest
True
about
Car
things.
reformed. I mean, you got to see the progression. Scott Painter, the head of True Car, and they did some dumbass things. They published my son's jail record on the blog. They actually
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did.
My son was arrested.
I think I found it and called him.
My son was arrested for drag racing. And they actually published Jim Ziegler's son's a criminal. And I had my son come on.
He was a kid.
Video and said, look, I was a 19-year-old kid. I was driving too fast. The police pulled me over. So the dealers just rallied behind me. Everybody has a kid that does something like that, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I was a kid who did things like that. Sometimes
you didn't rob a convenience store.
You probably still do things like that.
Oh, I absolutely do. 100%. That's why I opened my own company, so that nobody can tell me what to do.
Yeah, we were actually discussing making sure we allocated some bond money for an upcoming project we're working on.
Oh, no. But
it's necessary.
Scott Painter, the head of True Car, flew to Atlanta. And he said, Jim, what do we need to do to put this thing to rest? He said, our dealers are all bailing out on us, and we attribute this to your blog. And I said, yeah, I kicked your ass. Yeah. Anyway, he said, so we sat there, and Mike Timmons was with him, and my wife, Debbie. We were at Papa Do's restaurant, and I got this Californicator eating fried alligator tail. You know, I've got this Californian eating fried alligator tail at Papa Do's. And he said the most complimentary thing he could have said to me. He said, we considered buying you off, but we knew it couldn't be done.
Right. Everybody knows
What a
that.
great compliment.
That is a great compliment.
I said, well, how much were you considering? But anyway, we redesigned True Car's program on the table, where I felt it would be fair to consumers and fair to the dealers. We actually redesigned the True Car program. Matter of fact, he flew back to Atlanta to show me some commercials they had rewritten to be sure I approved of them.
Love that.
Can you imagine?
He's a smart man.
Yep.
So that was when they started sponsoring my battle plans. And people say, well, he bought you off. I said, no. We had already arrived at a settlement before he started sponsoring. And that's where I met Carrie Wise.
Mm-hmm. I love her to pieces. Love her to pieces.
Okay, Bob, you've got the stats, so tell us what are like the top 3 episodes?
What are the top 3 episodes? Well, of course, getting Mike Stanton on.
Yeah, that would be my
NADA.
the NADA.
That would be the most influential. We've had dealer panels, a lot of dealer panels that were. I think Brian Benstock was a big contributor.
Yep.
We had Brian Benstock and Brian.
I'm trying to log in. I'm trying to log in to give exacts because I'm such a data nerd that I'm like, I can't just guess this.
And Brian Benstock on the same edition. We had some. Kristen Dillard was on that same.
Yep.
Remember that broadcast?
Yep, that one's in the top
Ben
5.
Stock, Kramer, Kristen Dillard, and I think I had Brad Wise from Furman Group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I used to consult the Furman Group, big group down in Tampa, Florida.
The one
I
with Matt
consulted
Lasco.
them. I consulted and trained them for years. That 50th edition with April, where Matt Lasco was on that edition.
Yep, that was one of the top 5.
And I have trained it and consulted at Matt Lasco's store. I work with Matt Lasco, and he's one of the most progressive Ford dealers in the country as far as.
Nah, he's always really
I just recently talked to his operations director about potentially doing some things with them. So feel free to give him a call, give him a nudge.
Oh, he is. Oh, hey, listen, I'm great friends with Matt Lasco. He's another one of these people that will say exactly what's on his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people we have on I think that's what people really like about the show. And I'm sure some people hate our show, and that's fine. If you watch us, you're contributing to our success. So thank you. But people like the show because there's such a wide dynamic of people and opinion and such real conversations. I mean, we've many times said, hey, wait, we shouldn't interrupt each other. Hey, wait, we shouldn't get so passionate. But you know what? Those are our most popular shows.
We have a habit of talking over each other, and we got to stop that because it sounds like so much garbled noise when you look at the replays.
I'm going to translate that. So what everybody is saying is we aren't going to talk all the fluff and give you a bunch of BS. If you want the real deal, stats, opinions, execution, that's why people watch this show. I think there are a lot of broadcasts out there or publications even that are like, oh, let's feel good about it, or let's definitely make it a sales pitch all the way to the point that there's no actual value.
Well, they have an agenda. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things that attracted me to, the Dawg Pound was that, it's not sponsored. We don't have things we can and cannot talk about. I mean, that's one thing that I've always, attempted to do. And I understand the expense of producing content like this at scale and not having sponsors. It's a very, very heavy toll. I don't think
I'm paying that bill. I'm paying that bill. I don't
think people realize how heavy of a toll that is, but it allows us to really, say what we need to say, for the betterment of this industry. It's, we don't come on here with agendas and, and ask you to sign up for our master class.
You just said something really interesting, and I will continue this conversation. Nobody here is self-promoting. I mean, there are shows that have a single host that just self-promote. Look at me, hire me. I mean, everything is self-promoting. And you look at these people's resumes, and they haven't got a real resume. They've really never done anything except.
There is a magical LinkedIn fairy out there somewhere. I swear to Jesus. Like, I'll see somebody's LinkedIn.
Take us to church, Jennifer.
I'm sorry. So then next, like a month or two later, they got something coming out, or and all of a sudden now their LinkedIn is thick. When I looked at it before, and it was like, ooh.
Exactly. And the other thing is they all want to use a lot of foul language. We don't do that on the air. We might use it in our personal lives, but I see people online right now. F. I'm going to say F. I haven't said F lately. I've got to say F because Gary V says F. I want to be my authentic self. F.
Well, your authentic self being like somebody else. But I'm sorry.
The funny thing about that is I have the worst sailor mouth. Everybody knows it. Like the F word is my favorite adjective, noun, verb. I am terrible. I make no apologies. Jim Ziegler is the first and only man who's ever got me to watch my mouth. He threatened to kick me off a stage one time, and he was like, I am not playing with you. And then somebody else had just got kicked off, and I was like, all right, I got this. I've slipped up like once or twice, but I'll tell you what, every other word out of my mouth is the F word when I'm not on this show.
F.
It's an impressive feat.
My authentic self. I'm a real person like Gary V. F. Quit it.
I think it's more the industry. I am definitely a swear. I do believe this is made off of 4-letter words and 3-letter acronyms. The entire
Such an adjective.
the entire time I've spent in this industry, that's how I know everyone talked. But I hear what you're saying, Jim. There are people out there that definitely do it just for the sake of doing it.
It's like a shock factor for them. They want to feel like they're edgy.
Yeah.
We just rather give you
good
edgy
friend,
ideas than
Angus
content.
Fox.
I would rather swear at you, but I respect Jim too much to do that.
My good friend Angus Fox from Wiki Motive. Yeah,
Oh,
congratulations on
Hi, Angus.
Thanks, Angus.
Angus Fox is brilliant. Thank
Angus
you,
has been on the
Angus.
show with us before, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Wiki Motive guys. Yeah. You know, this broadcast will get as many as 10,000 replays, 20,000 replays once. But what people don't realize is that when this show is done, I put it on Ziegler On Demand, my personal on-demand website, which is free. I want to show everybody something for 1 second here. Here it comes. Okay, this is the back screen. The back screen on my broadcast.
Insider secrets.
All the videos are here. This is the back screen on Vimeo for Ziegler On Demand. Notice in the bottom left-hand corner, everybody sees
I'm hiding my wrinkles as I lean in. Hang on.
120,000 views in the last 30 days. Everybody sees the little ticker in the side above the red dot. You see it? You see it, April?
I have to look a little closer with
That
it.
is it's kind of small the way the share screen works, but that is 120. It's a rolling 30 days. Every 30 days that it keeps rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So that was from March 26th to April 25th. We had 120,000 views of the videos. Now that is a view of at least 3 minutes.
Yeah. And that's free content, free education, free learning, available to everybody.
Isn't that wild? I mean, 120,000 views. That's not anyone. And if you want to see any of that, there's the website. You can see all that. Sales manager school, F&I school, my general manager school's on there. There's BDC content from Bobbie and Elise. Jennifer's on there. A lot of content, a lot of training on Ziegler On Demand, F&I school, sales manager school, and sales training, including my 2008 sales seminar in front of 300 people.
Yeah. And I share that link because I will train a BDC or a sales team if the stores I'm working with ask me to, but that's not really what I do. I train managers and owners. And so when I have salespeople approach me while I'm on site, Jim, I'm giving them that link all the time.
Yep.
Because I'm so grateful that you put that together. That's another thing that I remember the day you called me and said, "Hey kid, I got this crazy idea." And to give that content and that knowledge away at no cost, because so many people are out there charging for just even a fraction of the type of topics that you've got on Ziegler On Demand.
You've been in my F&I school.
I have.
Bobbie, you have.
I have.
You have, haven't you?
Yep.
Max is too proud.
No, I have.
I'm a student of the business. I will learn anything anybody will give me. And when you made that, you had made it available to us much, much earlier in time. But even now, I still go back in and rewatch things and look for specific items. I do it with all the content of everybody else.
Guess what else? I now have podcasts on 3 podcast channels with my complete F&I school, my complete salesperson school, my complete sales manager school, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple.
It cracks me up when people say to me that don't know you, Jim, they'll have seen you somewhere and they're like, because it happens all the time, and they'll be like, he's just kind of like old school, right? And I'm like, are you insane? You're insane. The man is the master of reinvention. You got 3 podcast channels. We're on our 100th podcast episode. Conferences that always had new content. It's crazy to me because it cracks me up every time. I'm like, wow, you're not paying attention. And that might be why you're having to have this conversation right now. You got to pay attention in this industry. In
Well,
any
and
industry.
one of the things that I love about the training, whether you're watching something that Jim's done a month ago or 10 years ago, it's all still relevant. And it's factual training. It's actual things to say and do. It's not and you all understand what I'm saying by this. It's not just the rah training. There's a lot of rah training.
You're looking for real world.
Surface training. There's a lot of surface training that's happening right now, and a lot of people are charging a lot for that surface training. But motivational seminars should be separate than training. Actually training somebody to do something and putting tools in people's tool belts. There's not very many people out there that can do that or are doing that. So to give it away for free, there's so much relevance there, and I think that we should recognize that and appreciate that because.
Thank you. I didn't want to do an infomercial, but hey.
But you're not trying to charge for it. We're just saying, hey, if you guys are watching, go and view the content. If you have people in your story, you want to view the content. Even if you're a person watching who goes, you know what, I bet I want to agree with him. How do you know if you haven't gone in and watched it yet?
And
if you can't watch this and pull pieces, you're insane. You don't have to agree with everything.
Dog pounds are in there. All 100 dog pounds are on this platform.
Yeah, because it's not just Jim that's in there and the content on Ziegler on demand. It's the Jim's content, these episodes, and all the interviews that he's done with people across the industry.
Crazy good. Don't want to watch a demo? Go watch one of the ones he's done.
I know.
Just a pro tip, gatekeepers.
Fantastic. One of the broadcasts I remember that we did that I really loved was when we had all the dealer association guys on, not one or two, but we had like 6 of them on.
Yeah. I think Don Hall was on that show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Don Hall was
Bob was on that show.
Instigators.
I really like Don Hall.
I think it's Don and Bob both. That was one of my personal favorite episodes. I learned a lot, but I also appreciated that. You get the different perspectives across the country within that lane. And that was one of my favorite episodes just because we had so many different perspectives from the different states. And that was one of those moments for me that I really realized, wow, your opinion, April, is a lot driven by the fact that you live in this type of state. And I don't have the same challenges that other people have in other states. So
isn't that cool? We have a 20 group, basically, a true 20 group that meets every week and really goes through things from all across our industry and not a bullcrap one, which I love about our show.
Yep.
Do you remember that when we had Lenny Belavia, the attorney, and Jim Ganther on?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, Ganther was just commenting on here too. Yeah, I do remember that.
Ganther is the foremost compliance attorney in the country.
Great guy.
And Len Belavia, my personal attorney, by the way, who helped me with it when I got in with the Federal Trade Commission. Len Belavia represented me. The Federal Trade Commission came after me for allegedly organizing a boycott of TrueCar, which I didn't organize.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have organized to screw their clients over.
Never did that. No, but anyway.
I got in so much trouble for my comments about that when it happened.
Oh golly! Well, they wrote me up in some magazine, some national magazine, and 60 Minutes interviewed me. It was pretty big.
Yeah, I was a dealer at the time, and so I couldn't get into a lot of trouble. But I was screaming from the mountaintops, like, this doesn't work. But that goes to show you, like, you can make changes within an industry, within products, within things like that if you use your voice, if you're loud enough.
Social media is powerful. Yeah. I have 150,000 friends and followers on social media. And, we're talking about LinkedIn. We're talking about Twitter. We're talking about Facebook. I am all over Facebook. We got a private secret group that really doesn't exist.
No, we don't.
No.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, what's black and brown and looks great on Max? That's James' question.
Okay. Ganther's on the sidebar.
I don't know. Today is my favorite Max t-shirt, though, by the way.
Yes, it's a Rottweiler.
I love it when he wears the Adapt or Die t-shirt after his book, and it's on a day where, like, he doesn't want to adapt to what I'm saying. I love that.
Right. But listen,
Oh my God. A Doberman.
Wu-Tang is forever, right?
This
I
is
know
what I'm
just
talking
by
about,
the
people.
little
This is
taps
real.
what it
This
was.
is real life. I can tell you that Jim has done this broadcast from a doctor's office. Like the one time that one of us was going to take over to do it, he still was on it. We've got Max coming in from Spain. If you can't catch one of these shows, I don't know what to tell you. From Spain. Jason's got a whole setup. He just looks like he's in a professional situation. April steps away from the dealership every week to contribute and do these things. Jennifer's in the middle of moving. She got Wi-Fi issues going on, just looking all beautiful.
Sometimes,
put
like
her
when we
office
had-
together.
Yeah, when we had the NADA with Mike Stanton on, I was in the middle of a showroom for that. Like, it is amazing to see how everybody just comes and makes it happen. Like, if I have a voice, I'm here. And even sometimes I only save 1 hour's worth of voice to come here to be on the show.
I've seen that happen. It's funny. I get invited on podcasts and I have to turn them down because everybody wants to do them on a Tuesday at 2:00. I don't know if everybody wants to compete with us or what's going on there. I'm kidding, kind of. But I have a regular advisory. I have a board, an executive board I'm on that has a podcast. I won't name it so nobody can go check it out while we're doing this. But at the exact same time that I've never been on one time, not one time, because I won't miss the show unless there's a real reason to. And if you notice, like, we try to contribute. I do wish that the people who listen and who engage with us would start to send in more information about like what they would like to see a show be about or what their questions and comments are. I really think that makes a huge difference.
We got
And not even just live. We
check.
check later too. So if you're watching the replay, get in there and put some comments and questions because we're always looking
comments
back
on the replay. But see, we have a lot of viewers who are lurkers.
Yeah.
They are afraid that their opinion, to put it public, would be picked up by the manufacturer or whatever.
Yeah.
So
you can share it privately. Jim checks his messages religiously.
Right,
I do not. Don't private message me. I won't look.
I'll
Chelsea
see
will,
it,
and I'll
Jim
never
will
see it.
Yeah.
I consider Jim Farley one of my better friends in the manufacturer side, and but that's the thing. I had to choose between what he was doing to the dealers, in my opinion, what he was doing with the dealers, and our personal friendship. And I had to say, Jim, what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I could be wrong.
Friends don't lie to friends. That's not how we roll around these parts. Accountability, love is accountability. You got to love the people around you enough to hold them accountable. That's what I learned.
Folks, please share this broadcast. Share it with your social network. Hit the share button and hit the follow button so that next time we have a broadcast, watch for my news. Sign up for my newsletter because I put all the broadcasts in the newsletter and resend it. So this broadcast is going to be cycled until everybody that has a chance sees it.
Now, I was reading Chelsea's comment.
If they don't do newsletters, they can subscribe to your YouTube channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not a newsletter girl.
YouTube
I'd like to throw that out there for the rest
my
of you.
YouTube channel is James A. Ziegler. Ziegler, I before E. James A. Ziegler. YouTube.com/James A. Ziegler.
And if you
it's well optimized. Just put Jim Ziegler and it'll come right up, I promise.
Yeah, it'll tell you when the broadcast is.
I come up 250,000 times in Google. You can find me.
We make sure of it around these parts.
Max, what is your most favorite episode of all? Come on, Max.
Listen, I don't know. I just feel that the show gets better every time. Right. And we have like a stable cast of characters and, like Howard Stern, where people that like Howard Stern listen because they want to know what he's going to say next. And at the same time, people that hate Howard Stern listen because they want to know what he says next. Right. So I think this show is like that. You can like it, you can hate it, but you are watching it because you want to know what we're going to say next. And it's not scripted. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to say next.
How cool is it that we get an opportunity like this, though? I'm grateful for that. I think it's awesome that you put this together in the beginning, and I still continue to think so. I'm grateful that we have a sounding board, a stage to share our thoughts and views and to collaborate and to really network with other people. I've formed some really true friendships through this podcast and through all the things that we do. And I have like a personal network of a 20 group for every part of a dealership. If I don't have the answer, I'm gonna help you find the person who can. And it comes from stuff like this. So I'm grateful for that for sure, Jim.
And to answer
Stephen Christinello, it says, I would like it to be about the blocking and tackling. Stephen, go to Ziegler on Demand.
We just did that a few weeks ago.
Every real world example of how to sell a car, how to manage a dealership is on that site. We don't need to do it on this show. It's all on the site. It's free.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Stephen,
we did have an episode just a few weeks ago that was about the new normal basics, the getting back to basics in the dealership. So there's a ton of content there, Stephen. And if there's something once you go through there, in particular, because like we just mentioned and April had said, every part of the country is a little bit different. Bobbie and I work with clients, and I know Jason even has some folks in Canada, right? Got some experience there. Max, who knows what part of the world he'll be in.
I'm US, Canada, and Mexico over here.
If you go through there, Stephen, and you don't see something in particular to the challenge you're dealing with in your store and your market, come back. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I love that you gave that feedback. And I owe you a phone call. I heard you messaged me on Facebook, but write that number down. Don't call me today, call me tomorrow. But write that number down and text me. I do not check private messages on social media, guys. If you message me on there, if Chelsea sees it, you got lucky and she sends me a text, but I don't.
Well, we have burned through an hour. Actually,
it's like we burned through 100 episodes before we noticed.
I want to say something to close the show. You're looking at 5 people in this broadcast and some of the previous panelists. I love you guys. I mean, I genuinely
love you too.
Love you and care about you. And you know, you are as family to me as any real family I have in blood. I want to just say that these are my people. Everybody wave goodbye to the audience.